All right, so overheating is something that happens all the time, but especially in the spring, because the snow freezes at night and then it's not kicking up onto your cooler. Because how your snowmobile is cooled, maybe you already know this, but back here on the tunnel is where your coolant runs through and then back into your engine. Okay, so you have to cool the tunnel down to cool the sled down. So there's a few ways that we can do, things we can do to help cool the snowmobile down, and then some more extreme ways that cool it down real fast. So overheating can happen any time of the year. So the number one thing you're gonna wanna do is use your ice scratchers. If you don't have ice scratchers, get ice scratchers. They come in different shapes and ways. These are metal ones. They're on a spring. You can go forward and reverse in these. They make cable ones if you have an older sled that you can go forward and reverse. And then they make some that just come out and they're a little piece of metal. They dig into the snow. Those ones you can't go in reverse. I will say that the new Skidoo ones I have experience with cool really good, and also the new Polaris ones. When I say new Skidoo ones, I'm meaning the 2026 ones. So first thing you want to do, is put down your ice scratchers pretty much any time for mountain sleds, anytime you're on the trail. And then if your snowmobile's like this one and it doesn't have a snow flap, which a lot of the newer snowmobiles are coming, mountain snowmobiles are coming without a flap, because you want to be able to evacuate all that snow up instead of having it come up onto your snow flap and then go back in and make it harder for the track to turn. And then also when you're turning in powder, the tunnel isn't catching on the snow. So for backcountry riding, it works way better. But for cooling, it doesn't. So get yourself, if you have a Skidoo, you can get yourself this removable snow flap. This sled isn't set up to take it, but you hook it on, ride. When you get to where you're going, you hide it, come back at the end of the day, pick it up, put it back on. I've noticed cooler temperatures running the snow flap. I think a lot of the snow goes up in, and then it's also taking that cold air and pushing it up along the cooler. Okay, so now you have your snow flap on, your ice scratchers are down, and you're still overheating, or maybe one of your ice scratchers breaks off. So another thing that I've done that has helped, it's a little more extreme or dangerous, but while riding along, I will drag my feet, my toes like this, trying to kick snow up into the track, which will throw it onto the tunnel. One other thing I forgot to mention, with the ice scratchers, the other thing they're doing is lubricating your hyfax, because that, if you don't have that lubricated, it can melt, and then when you stop, it'll freeze onto your track and you won't be able to go. Happened to me once, didn't know what happened. This one, I don't know 100% if it works, because I've only heard about it. So test it out, let me know if it works for you. I don't know if the guy was messing with me or not, but they say if you're driving along, and as you're driving along, if you start going like this really fast, moving your skis back and forth, it'll kick up snow and cool your sled down. Again, haven't really tried that one, so I maybe shouldn't have shared it, but it's one that I've heard of, so let's all try it out and see if it works. Yeah. Okay. None of these are working, and you don't want to just sit and let your sled cool down. What you can do, and this works really well, and I do this all the time, you get your sled up on edge, and then you start gassing it. Now I'm going to demonstrate this in a second. And you're going to let the track chainsaw down into the snow, and that's just going to throw a ton of snow up in your cooler. There are a few dangers to this. One, you can suck a rock up and put it through your cooler. I had a buddy total a sled doing that. The other one is you can get stuck. So just be mindful when you're doing it, and it cools your sled off rapidly. So I'll demonstrate how to do it now. Yeah. So yeah, you just do that until you get to the temperature you want. And as you can see, it just kind of digs a little trench into the snow. And you can just keep chainsawing it down in like that, and it'll cool your sled off real quick. Like, look how much snow it put into the cooler here. All right, it's already fallen off, but look how much snow it just threw up in there. So before we get into our extreme methods of cooling down, you can definitely just stop and wait. You can open your side panels and just kind of let the heat escape. This does take a long time because your engine's going to be heat soaked and your cooler, so you just kind of have to wait forever. So yeah, cooling off your sled can be really frustrating. Like, you're trying to get somewhere. So I think doing the preventative ones first. Ice scratcher down right when you get off. If you have the sense that you're going to overheat, it doesn't happen all the time, especially mid-season. You can usually get away without the snow flap. But you're going to get the sense of like, okay, I overheated on days like today. The other thing is, like, you can overheat when it's really cold because the trail is just gonna be ice, and then you can overheat in the spring when it froze the night before and hasn't thawed out yet. So those are the two times I find overheating a lot. If you're overheating and stuff's still happening, you may want to check your coolant. Your impeller fan could be gone. I've had that happen on side-by-sides, not on snowmobiles, but you know, just make sure your cooling system's working properly. And if it's working properly, then maybe you just have a sled that gets hot. But those are the things I've found. Like, these ways to cool it down are the best ways that I've found to get you going again. You know, it's just part of snowmobiling. I think manufacturers have taken it into consideration more and more, and so our sleds they're working on getting them to overheat less. Better cooling systems, better scratchers, but it's just part of it. So if you have any tips or ideas of how do you keep your sled from overheating, let me know. One other thing I should mention, there are a few guys out there making boxes to go on the back of your sleds. Tony and I made one, and it works. They melt down pretty fast. But if you can keep your sled from getting really hot, I think that it cools down faster. But the modern sleds will put you into limp mode and even turn off if you get too much heat in them. So really, it's just something you watch your gauge, know how your sled runs in certain snow conditions, and most of all, just get out and have a great time and keep your sled running great. So we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for being here. Like I said, let me know if you have any thoughts on how you keep your sled cool. These are the ones I use, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.